Okay, Chapter 2. Though Jonas had only become a 5 the year that they acquired Lily and learned her name, he remembered the excitement, the conversations at home, the wondering about her, how she would look, who she would be, and how she would fit into their established family unit. He remembered climbing the steps to the stage with his parents, his father by his side, that year instead of with the nurturers, since it was the year that he would be given a new child of his own. I want you guys to highlight nurturers in yellow, and you're going to add the note, nurturers usually sit with their co-workers and not their families. He remembered his mother taking the new child, his sister, into her arms while the document was read to the assembled family units. New child 23, the namer had read, Lily. He remembered his father's look of delight and that his father had whispered, "She's one of my favorites." I was hoping for her to be the one. The crowd had clapped, and Jonas had grinned. He liked his sister's name. Lily, barely awake, had waved her small fist. Then they had stepped down to make room for the next family unit. "When I was in 11, his father said now, "as you are, Jonas, I was very impatient, waiting for the ceremony of 12. Here I want you guys to highlight the ceremony of 12 in yellow, because we finally get the name of what is going to happen in December. It's a long 2 days. I want you guys to highlight 2 days. I remember that I enjoyed the ones, as I always do, but that I didn't pay much attention to the other ceremonies except for my sister's. She became a 9 that year and got her bicycle. I want you to highlight that whole sentence in yellow, and then you're going to put the note that 9s get their bicycles. I'd even been teaching her to ride mine, even though technically I wasn't supposed to. Jonas laughed. It was one of the few rules that was not taken very seriously and was almost always broken. I want you to highlight that here and say, some rules are broken. The children all received their bicycles at 9. They were not allowed to ride their bicycles before then, but almost always the older brothers and sisters had secretly taught the younger ones. Jonas had been thinking already about teaching Lily. There was talk about changing the rule and giving the bicycles at an earlier age. A committee was studying the idea. When someone went to a committee for study, the people always joked about it. They said that the committee members would become elders by the time the rule change was made. Here, I want you to add a note that says, if rules are going to be changed, a committee works on them for a long time. And then I want you to highlight elders and ask yourself the question, who are the elders? Rules Rules were very hard to change. Sometimes, if it was a very important rule, unlike the one governing the age for bicycles, it would have to go, eventually, to the receiver for a decision. I want you to highlight receiver and say decision maker. The receiver was the most important elder. Jonas had never seen him, that he knew of. Someone in a position of such importance worked and lived alone. I want you to highlight that whole sentence. But you don't have to write a note. But the committee would never bother the receiver with a question about bicycles. They would simply fret and argue about it themselves for years until the citizens forgot that it had ever gone to them for study. I want you to highlight the word fret and write in your note, definition. Worry about. His father continued, "So I watched and cheered when my sister, Katya, became a 9 and removed her ribbons and got her bicycle," father went on. "Then I didn't pay attention to the 10s and 11s, and finally, at the end of the second day, which seemed to go on forever, it was my turn. It was the ceremony of 12. Here, I want you to highlight ribbons, and you're going to write, the 9s take off ribbons. The 8s, then, must wear ribbons." Jonas shivered. He pictured his father, who must have been a shy and quiet boy, for he was a shy and quiet man, seated with his group, waiting to be called to the stage. The ceremony of 12 was the last of the ceremonies, the most important. I remember how proud my parents looked, and my sister too, even though she wanted to be out riding the bicycle publicly. She stopped fidgeting and was very still and attentive when my turn came. "To be honest, Jonas," his father said, "for me there was not the element of suspense that there was with your ceremony, because I was already fairly certain of what my assignment was going to be." I want you to highlight assignment, and you're going to write, "This is what happens at the ceremony of 12. Jonas was surprised. There was no way, really, to know in advance. It was a secret selection made by the leaders of the community of elders, who took the responsibility so seriously there were never any jokes made about assignments. I want you guys to highlight community of elders, because now we know who the elders are. The elders are the leaders of the community. His mother seemed surprised, too. "How could you have known?" she asked. His father smiled his gentle smile. "Well, it was clear to me, and my parents later confessed that it had been obvious to them, too, what my aptitude was. I had always loved the new children more than anything. When my friends in my age group were holding bicycle races, or building toy vehicles or bridges with their construction sets, or—" "All the things I do with my friends," Jonas pointed out, and his mother nodded in agreement. "I always participated, of course, because as children we must experience all of those things. And I studied hard in school, as you do, Jonas, but again and again, during free time, I found myself most drawn to the new children. I spent almost all of my volunteer hours helping in the nurturing center. Of course, the elders knew that from their observation." I want you to highlight observation.